I highly doubt that you can't do a little housework just because you're pregnant. Do you really know what it means to be a housewife? Of course. I believe I am completing my household chores to the best of my ability. Unfortunately, my body hasn't been able to keep up, and that forces me to rest quite often. There's no way that's true. You're just using being pregnant as an excuse to be lazy and put off your wifely duties. Do you really think it's okay for you to be such a sloth? There is no way that I believe that. I am working as hard as I can and trying to do as much as possible. I heard from Heath that you've been slacking in making him meals, and the quality of his food is also dropping. To think we allowed such a miserable specimen of a wife to marry into our family. We are this close to completely giving up on a lost cause such as you. It is true that I haven't been able to make meals the same way I had been able to before. It's just that my morning sickness and nausea act up more when I smell certain foods. Even with that, I make sure Heath gets a healthy meal 3 times a day. He also says he is grateful that I am trying so hard for him. He even said that he would buy his lunches during this period to make things easier on me. He's just acting nice to you because he knows he married such a useless wife and knows he can get better food elsewhere. For the past month, all I hear from you is, "I'll try," or "I'm doing my best," and other excuses that seem thought up by a mentally challenged chimp. If the results are garbage, then it doesn't matter how hard you try. I'm sorry that I can't do things the way you want, but I am doing as much as my body will allow me at the moment. I promise to try harder to earn your respect. Try? You? How is that going to change anything? As hard as you try, things won't change much because the level that you think of hard work is still under par when compared to normal housewives like me. Since your baseline abilities are so low, I guess that's just another one of your defects. But I expect you to be able to do at least the bare minimum for my son. Since we all know that you're below average in pretty much everything, don't you think that you should be putting forth more effort to meet society norms? I have no response to that. While that may be true, I'm sure I could do more if I was able to get more advice and support from you, my mother-in-law. You want my support? Why would I lend my support to someone who doesn't try hard themselves? If you want my support, you need to earn it. No way in hell will I help someone as lazy as you and only good at giving excuses. You probably tricked Heath into having a child with you, right? What do you mean? That makes no sense at all. You wanted to keep living the sweet, easy life of being a housewife, so you're using Heath to support your lazy lifestyle and guilt him into going easy on you by getting yourself pregnant. You're just taking advantage of Heath because he makes good money, aren't you? And by having a kid, it'll be harder to cut away a parasite like you. You are the most conniving, audacious woman I have ever met. It's not like that at all. I loved the job I had before we got married, and I was raised to be self-sufficient by my family. Heath knows how much that job meant to me, and even he was surprised when I quit it to follow him when he got transferred to the main office. We agreed that I would do work around the house until I found a new job. But then we found out I was pregnant, so that got put on hold. I fully intend to go back to work once our child's born and things settle down. A likely story. You say that now, but I know that you finally understand that lazing around the house and doing the bare minimum fits your millennial brain. You're just going to find some excuse to keep working as a housewife and live off Heath's hard work. It is so easy to see through the shallowness of your personality and your belief in your own entitlement. I know that women like you who are a little pretty use their charms to nab a guy better off than themselves so they can lead a life of luxury and do almost nothing in return. I can't stand the sight of your generation that have had everything handed to them on a silver platter think that they can continue to get through life leeching off others. It may be true that my generation had it easier than those before it, but isn't that what all parents strive for? I too want to work hard so my children don't have to go through many hardships. You say a lot to me about being a housewife, but aren't you one as well? Of course I am. But it's okay because that's just the time we lived in. Nothing wrong with that. Men worked and women stayed at home keeping the place clean and making sure the men had a warm meal waiting for them when they returned. Really? My parents both worked full-time, and so did the parents of almost all the people I grew up around. That just shows the difference between our white-collar world and your blue-collar existence. Nothing to be ashamed about. Well, if I had a daughter like you, I would be pretty embarrassed by how you turned out. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Stop changing the course of this conversation. Do you understand what it means to be a part of this family? Once you took our name, certain responsibilities also came along with it. With that being said, for the next family reunion next month, you don't expect to be treated different just because you're pregnant, do you? There are going to be a lot of people there, so don't embarrass me by not doing your fair share of the work. I expect you to work doubly hard to show that you are a good fit for our family. I will help out as much as my body will allow me to. By then, my morning sickness should have abated for the most part. I hope you understand your position here. You are going to be allowed to visit your in-laws' house, so you had better show up prepared. You know what that means, right? Don't come empty-handed. Of course, we always bring a gift of gratitude when we visit. I always try to choose something that best suits the occasion that we meet under. Then instead of the cheap crap you usually bring around, why don't you dig a little deeper and bring something that might actually make me happy? I try to choose something different every visit, but I just can't figure out what your preferences are. If you could, please let me know what you would like to see us bring. Seriously, this is how your generation handles things. Are you so insensitive and bad-mannered that you have to ask such things? In my day, such questions were unthinkable. It pains me to see how uncultured people like you have become. Try thinking for yourself for once and show that you can choose something that would make me happy. I understand. I will think about it and get Heath's opinion on what to get you guys.
Hello, Sarah. Do you have a little time to talk? There's something that's been bothering me, and I wanted to clear it up with you.
Hey, it's good to hear from you again. What can I do for you?
Recently, Christy has been in a really bad mood. Unstable, really. I'm not sure if it's because of menopause or some other reason, but all she does is complain constantly. I know it's rude of me to contact you directly about it, but she is always talking poorly of you, and it is worrying me mightily.
Thank you for coming to me directly with this. If there is something that I'm doing wrong, I will fix it. Could you please let me know what she's unhappy about?
Well, ever since Heath first introduced you to us, I've known you as a humble and hard-working individual, so I'm not swallowing everything my wife says as the gospel truth. So if anything I say is not true, I want you to let me know.
Just hearing you say that makes me feel safer and happy. Thank you for trusting me.
Okay, so for example, is it true that since you quit your old job and got pregnant, you've been blowing through Heath's savings?
What? That's impossible. We've been making do with the income Heath brings in every month, and haven't had to resort to either of our savings yet. Heath gave me full access to all his accounts so I could get things ready for our baby, or make things easier for me while I'm pregnant, but I feel that the money should be saved for something else if we can get by with what he is making already.
I see. So Christy is lying to me again.
It's hard for me to say it, but that seems to be the case. Also, since I'm at home resting most of the time, I don't really have a reason to spend much money at all. There is no reason at all for me to dip into Heath's savings at all.
That makes sense. According to Christy, ever since you got pregnant, your personality has shifted and you've been buying expensive brand products to relieve the stress you feel from the pregnancy. And because of that, your relationship with Heath is becoming strained.
I'm shocked to hear this, not only because it's not true, but also because it doesn't even sound real. Why would she believe something like that?
So, that's the case. To be very honest with you, I've seen this happen before.
What do you mean?
I know that our extended family is meeting up at our place for a New Year's get-together, but I was wondering if the three of us, including Heath, could sit down and have a talk before then.
Of course. I will check with Heath, but I'm sure it would be fine. He wanted to talk with you too.
Your face was priceless. The expression you had after getting a pint poured over your head was hilarious. I wish I had a camera for it. I would frame it and put it up in our entrance so everyone could see the stupid look you had on your face. This is an example of a country bumpkin that decided to sit down for a minute instead of doing exactly what her mother-in-law told her to do. Would be the engraved caption under it.
I only sat down for a minute. I didn't think that would enrage you enough to pour a whole mug of cold beer on my head.
Did you really think you could take a break just because you're pregnant? How weak are you millennials anyway? It's in our house rules. Wives need to be eternally on their feet, ready to work. As soon as you decided to marry my beautiful boy, you agreed to live by my rules. So I expect you to work regardless of your physical well-being.
I was helping out the entire day without rest. Not even being allowed to rest for a minute is too harsh. This is supposed to be a family, not an Amazon warehouse.
It was like this when I married into this family, so I expect you to follow the same rites of passage. It's even within my authority if I decide to knock you to the floor when you are in my way or moving too slow.
Are you serious? You have to be kidding. That would put the child I carry in danger.
Then it's your job to protect them by not being lazy and working hard. It doesn't matter if you're pregnant. You just married into our family, so you need to sweat just to earn a place here. Next time I catch you resting, even for a second, you will find your butt out on the street so you can think about how useless you are being.
Don't worry, I'm never coming back.
Like you have a choice. When Heath wants to see me, you will have to come along as well. Then I can take good care of you at that time.
Wrong. Neither Heath nor myself will ever share the same roof as you ever again. Tonight was the last time you will probably ever see either of us. Thank you for showing me how not to act as a mother-in-law when my children bring home their partners.
What on earth are you talking about? Who do you think you are, talking to me like that? When you get back from changing your clothes, I am going to show you the true meaning of respecting your family. Hurry up and change. How long does it take you? This is what I'm talking about when I say you are a slow dullard.
Heath has already snuck me out of the house and we are on our way home. Since you will never see me again, you no longer need to focus your anger on me. Please find something to direct your ire at. Maybe knitting, jogging, joining the army as a drill sergeant.
Don't give me that horse crap. Once you marry into my family, you will be expected to be useful as an in-law.
Once Heath read that you would kick me out of the house in this weather, he lost it. He said anyone who would put a mother and child in that much danger is worse than Stalin and a shame to mankind. That's how he put it, minus the expletives.
Quit messing around and get in here. As long as you do as you're told, nothing bad will happen to you. So quit running your mouth like those pundits on the news.
Everyone knows that expecting mothers should not be put under too much stress by working. You know this better than most, don't you, Christy?
What kind of weak snowflake talk is that? Quit acting like a victim and get back here.
You are so caught up in your self-righteous ranting that you haven't looked around the room at all, have you?
Where is everyone?
You've just been projecting your own disingenuous ideals onto me this whole time, haven't you? The lazy daughter-in-law that always shirked her duties was you, wasn't it?
How dare you? How would you know anything?
I heard everything from your husband. When you were pregnant with Heath, you used that as an excuse to completely stop doing housework. He said that he would come home to a dirty house and no food in the kitchen, but find you in your famous reclining Buddha pose on the sofa, laughing and snacking in front of the TV.
Famous? What's that mean?
Yes, it's an inside joke amongst the whole family. You were probably in that pose on your sofa during most of our conversation, weren't you?
How dare you? No, I wasn't.
Aunt Shelley snapped a pic and sent it to me before she snuck out 15 minutes ago. Colin showed me his collection of pictures he's taken of you over the past 20 years. On that couch, in that pose. I actually peed myself a little laughing looking at them. I would like to blame it on the pressure the baby is putting on my bladder, but it probably would have happened regardless.
Lies! Horrible lies!
Back to the salient point. When you were pregnant, you used that as a shield to avoid doing any chores even when you felt fine. In fact, you always bragged that you never once experienced morning sickness to your friends after Heath was born. You went on shopping sprees with his credit cards, claiming that it was the only way to relieve the stress you felt from the pregnancy. Whenever someone confronted you about your behavior, you would go into histrionics and enter drama queen mode. I don't know what Trevor told you, but it's obvious that those are all lies. I even heard similar stories from his siblings, cousins, and nieces and nephews. So with so many corroborating stories, it's difficult to believe your claims that they are all lies. How could you? Why would you stick your nose so deep into our family's affairs? There is no reason for Father to lie. In fact, these stories only make him look bad for letting you walk all over his family name. There really was no need for me to talk to so many other family members, but once they heard that I was looking for more evidence, they began contacting me instead. Trevor telling me his story had the effect of the little Dutch boy taking his finger out of the hole in the dike. There's even a group chat full of family members trading stories about you named A Compendium of Caligula Christie's Chronicles. You can credit that clever alliteration to Heath. This is the most humiliating thing I have ever heard. Oh, it gets worse. Colin made an internet forum of the same name and it blew up. A what? It's better if you stay clueless about that one. How could you do something so terrible to me after all I've done for you? Me? I just asked questions if my treatment at your hands was par for the course in this family, and obviously it wasn't. How dare you put me on the spot like this? So what if it's true? What are you going to do about it? I'm not going to do anything. The beer incident that you so enjoyed inducing seems to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Trevor has had it and intends to cut you off completely. What do you mean? Where is he? He's in the passenger side next to Heath. Why did you take him with you? What are you going to do to him? Whoa, stop jumping to conclusions. We didn't take anyone. He wanted to come with us because he was sickened by what you did tonight. He was in tears and on his knees begging us for forgiveness, even though he did nothing wrong. Why does he have to apologize? You were the one who was being lazy. You were the one loafing around your entire life. Trevor. No way. Yes way. He decided to reply to that after reading it. Tell Trevor to stop coddling you and get back here where he belongs. It seems that you were always the abnormal one. His parents disliked you from the beginning, but he stuck by you out of duty and the hope you would become a better person. That's not true. They loved me like their own daughter. I was the best daughter-in-law they could have ever asked for. You never brought gifts. You entered their house without greeting them. You acted like you owned everything. You disappeared into the bathroom whenever it came time to clean up during family get-togethers. You talked down to everyone like it was your right because you married the eldest son. And the most hypocritical thing of all is that you used your pregnancy as a get-out-of-jail-free card to avoid helping out during the family's New Year's party. How did your ears not burst into flames in embarrassment telling me to do all the things you refused to do? That's not exactly the way I remember things, but it's possible something like that may or may not have occurred in such a way at one point in time if viewed from a certain way in a specific context. You could have made a fortune as some politician speechwriter. You even bald-faced lied to me that you were treated the same way you were treating me. Trevor's family was nothing but accommodating to your selfish outbursts and diva-like outlandish actions. Then you had the gall to force all your work onto your son's pregnant wife. Well, I'm not young anymore, so it's only right that a younger person works harder than an older person. You are only 46. My mother and aunt are in their 50s, and they still work full-time jobs in addition to doing house chores. I think I have arthritis and cataracts, so it's dangerous for me to work too much. Well, new excuses. I've had enough. I am tired of your bullying. Father, Heath and I are done with your indolent and reckless behaviors. So before you can harm me or the life I carry within me, we will leave your life. Wait, what do you mean by that? Speak more clearly. Come back here and say that to my face, you coward. I already said that I will never share the same building with you again. Heath and father won't allow me, and I don't want to. None of us want anything to do with you anymore. Trevor will return in time, but when he does, it will be to make sure you leave his house. What? Why do I have to leave my own house? He's done with your erratic, hypocritical outbursts. He said he was fine overlooking your behavior up until now because it only made him look bad and didn't directly hurt anyone. But once you threatened the happiness and health of his son's family, you had gone too far. Fine. So as long as I let you ignore doing housework around here, it'll be fine, right? That is the least of the issues you've perpetrated. Dumping cold drinks on a pregnant woman and threatening to kick her out into the winter cold are actions of a psychopath that are unacceptable in any society. Trevor says you need to look back on your actions and live your life accordingly. Okay, I get it. Tell him to stop blowing this out of proportion and come back here so we can talk things out amicably. He's reading these messages himself and he says he has nothing more to say to you. He wants you out of our lives before you can hurt his grandchild. Fine. I apologize. Tell him to forgive me and come back home. Your narcissism really has no bounds, does it? You really don't see the double standards you set for yourself and other people, do you? What are you talking about? I treat people the way they deserve to be treated and expect people to respect me the way I deserve to be respected. It's only fair. This is the self-centered behavior everyone is talking about. I have decided that in order to protect my child from your poor influence, you will never see the face of your future grandchild. Heath says that you will never see him again as well. He says that this is the most judicious path we can take to keep our new family safe from you. Your conceited, egomaniacal actions up until this day have led to this conclusion. You've had an easy ride up until now, so it is high time that you learn how to work for your meals. It turns out that Christy fell on her knees and cried for forgiveness from Trevor when he returned home a few weeks later. Unfortunately for her, he had had enough of her self-absorbed ways, so her apologies fell on deaf ears. He turned her out of his house after living large as a failure of a housewife, which forced her to find a part-time job so she could afford a ratty apartment to live in. We can only hope that this experience can open her eyes to her foolishness and give her a change of heart. I'm not holding my breath on that, but who knows what the future holds.